but I think I'm really into the idea of like, if I want to watch a television show, I would probably want to watch it in that format of once a week. Certainly for those shows that are an hour long. I don't know if you guys are with me, or whether you're into the whole just kind of chewing through an entire season in one night. Like, what is your approach to that kind of thing?
It's almost as if one of us tweeted about this week, and it's the perfect opportunity for them to get their feelings out there.
Go on, Jack. I had a very similar revelation this week while I was watching Only Murders in the Building, which is a show that again has like a central mystery premise, and it's a once a week on Disney Plus show. And I just sat there being like, every time I come to a new season of Stranger Things, I don't know what's happening. One, because it's been 2 years since the last season, but also because that season I would have watched over the space of 3 days. So it's like I had this short, sharp burst with these characters and these stories, and then nothing for a long time. So it makes everything like very transitive. You experience something in very short bursts, and then it's gone. And I don't think that's a good way to watch TV. I don't think that's a good way to sit with characters and sit with stories and sit with just the general vibe of television, which is this kind of like, it's not long form content, it's obviously shorter than movies, but traditionally it runs longer than movies because of the classic 22 episode network season that is kind of a dying breed these days. You only get 10 for the most part on streaming, 10 to 12, but even then that's been cut down and then all released at once. So yeah, I have had this, like, I love just the little treat of an episode of a show you like. And I feel like we get that less these days because everything is streaming. And like, people could say to me, it's like, well, you could have discipline and only watch an episode of Stranger Things every week. You could watch it that way if you want. I'm not disciplined. I'm sorry. I can't do that to myself. I need it forced upon me. But yeah, I'm with you. I prefer, and I think Lost is a perfect show that like it is made and designed for that speculation. The big cliffhanger happens and you get a week of...
every fucking week is a cliffhanger. It drove me up the wall.
But you get the week of, what does this mean, what actually happened, how is this going to move forward, and that's how shows like sustain themselves. Whereas now you get the big cliffhanger and you wait 10 seconds and the next episode plays. It just doesn't have the same feeling.
Yeah, and like, for all the faults of the MCU and the TV shows, they have, as far as I'm aware, they've stuck to that format of doing the one episode per week.
It's a very Disney Plus thing. Disney Plus are like, we're one episode a week, we're not doing the Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, it stretches out those subscriptions. I think it's the smart way to do it, even from a cynical aspect.
So, like, I mean, the last series of Better Call Saul that's on at the moment is just the fact that it's week to week. The anticipation that I have building on Monday night, knowing that I can wake up early before work on a Tuesday and just smash through that next episode. Yeah, it feels special, especially if it's a really good show as well. Like, there's some shows that I think do benefit from the bingeable format because you might not have that same commitment week to week to make sure that you're good. Like, for instance, I really fell off the last series of Peaky Blinders, and there's only 6 episodes of that. So like, that just goes to show, like, if and I know if the whole thing had been released all at once, I would have binged it all right at once. But yeah, things that are really good, like really hard hitting, that are written well and that kind of bury themselves in your soul. I love that week to week thing because the anticipation is there, and also it's quite fun to just see how the internet reacts. Like, the last season of Game of Thrones, for instance, was a complete fucking train wreck, and it was awful. And it was really fun to just listen through everybody picking through they really fucked the show up analysis week on week as we waited for the next episode to see if they could get it back on course. Spoiler alert, they didn't. But yeah.
You say the word spoiler, that's another thing I prefer about it. Like, we all have this agreed window, it airs at a time, and after that it's fair game. That's just the way it works. Whereas with the streaming shows, they dump them all at once, and you're like, can I talk about the thing that happens in episode 4? What's the fair game, or the thing that happens like halfway through a season of a show that's dropped all at once? There is none, and it's like, that just makes talking about things harder and more annoying. I prefer a week by week in pretty much every way. Even like, shows are being written that, like, the idea of like, streaming shows or 6-hour movies or 8-hour movies is, I think, a consequence of dropping them all at once, that they don't need to have a thing stand alone as a 1-week piece of culture because they know people are just going to click next episode. So it can just be an 8-episode movie, or an 8-hour movie.
Has Paramount Plus had any like new shows on there? Is it all?
Couldn't possibly tell you. I'm watching Frasier. That's all I need.
of the kind of least consequential new shows I can think of to think about how the format will be, I'm thinking about the new Jackass TV show season whenever that happens, and like, would I want that all dropped in one go, or do I want that weekly format? And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter, it's Jackass, but that's where my brain went to anyway.
Yeah, don't care, just hook it up to my veins.
Yeah,
they did have Halo, which I think was released week to week.
Oh yes, Halo,
which I haven't
Did
watched.
Anyone watch that?
No, I have no idea.
could not care